What's the deal with DJI removing geofencing worldwide? I don't think this move is as malicious as people have made it out to be. People have seen this move and they've been like, DJI, bad actor, removing geofencing. They want people to fly in dangerous places and be risky. When DJI removed the geofencing from the United States, we talked about... Sorry, I got a little in my nose. We talked about how they're not required to geofence. Ultimately, the U.S. law says that it is on the pilot to determine if it's safe to fly where they're going to fly. And there were lots of situations where pilots were legally able to fly, but the geofencing prevented them from doing it. They were pretty annoyed. There were probably also plenty of places where boneheads were going to do something dumb and geofencing saved the day. So I'm not trying to present an unrealistic picture of the pros and cons of geofencing. And then there was a situation where someone flew their DJI drone and they had to ground firefighting planes, and this person got in big trouble. And it was pointed out that the flight restriction, the TFR, was an emergency TFR that was set up at the last minute. And so the DJI software did not geofence him to prevent him from flying over the forest fire. And a question was raised, well, if you've got this safety, if DJI pilots get in the habit of thinking the app will tell me if I'm not allowed to fly here, then there's a forest fire. You power up your DJI drone. Well, it says I'm allowed to fly. I guess I must be allowed to fly. And I think there's a perspective where as DJI, you go, yeah, absolutely. We're giving our users this false sense of security. We're preventing authorized users from flying in places where they have authorization to fly. And then there's this weird middle ground where people think it's okay to fly, but it's really not. Maybe we should just get the hell out of the middle, you know? Now, certainly DJI could have tried to be more proactive and say, you know, what if they popped up a message and said, you are not in a geofenced area, but you still need to check before you fly. Like, they could have chosen to be more proactive, but they're not legally required to be more proactive. And at some point, I think they just were like, you know what? We're just going to get out of this business and we're going to leave it between the users and their government. And they made that decision in Europe, and then they made that decision in the U.S. And that decision in the U.S. was coincidentally timed around the time when people were talking about a ban. So this was the time when DJI was the most interested in looking like a good actor and trying to do things to reform their image. And they were like, well, I don't think we need to be doing this. And now they've done it worldwide. Will it result in more boneheads flying their drones places where they shouldn't fly them? Probably. But ultimately, it's not DJI's obligation to prevent that. And if the United States or Europe or European country or China or whoever wants it to be DJI's obligation to prevent drones from taking off, they can pass a law establishing that requirement. And then DJI will decide what they need to do about it. But they haven't. So I think that you could imagine a world where DJI is like, you're going to ban us? Fine. We're going to take our ball and go home. We're not going to geofence. Good luck. But if that was the case, they could have removed geofencing just for the U.S. and nowhere else, and they didn't do that. So I don't think this is a targeted thing. I just think DJI is like, we're not going to geofence. Geofencing is only minimally effective anyway. We're just going to let people deal with it.